There is a kind of poverty that hurts differently. Not the kind that happens because you never earned money, but the kind that happens because you did earn money, you spent all of it, and by age 31, you finally realize this. Compound interest left you behind at 22. I want you to imagine this. Midnight, a quiet room, your laptop open in front of you, a blank spreadsheet staring back at you like a financial judgment. You are 31 years old, and you begin adding up everything you missed. Not just the money, the time, the years you did not invest, the retirement accounts you did not fund, the Roth IRA contributions that could have grown tax-free for decades, the stocks you did not buy, the home equity you did not build, every dollar of compound interest that should have been working for you, but was never hired in the first place. And then you see the number. No one yells at you. No one punishes you. No alarm goes off. Just one very quiet truth. Your 20s passed, and they did not leave behind as many assets as you thought they would. They left behind a few memories, a few trips, dinners that were fun at the time, a car that once made you feel grown, an apartment that was a little too expensive but had beautiful light, a relationship that ended and took a few $1,000s with it in furniture, deposits, and emotion, subscriptions you forgot to cancel, small coffees, delivery meals because you were too tired to cook, tiny conveniences every single day. None of them looked like a disaster, but together, they became a decade. This video is called Compound Interest Left You Behind at 22. You are not watching the wrong video. This is not a video designed to make you hate yourself. Self-hatred will not pay off debt. Shame will not open an investment account. Punishing yourself will not create compound interest. I made this video to tell you a harder truth, but a more useful one. You really did lose time. That cost is real. The gap between you and the person who started at 22 is real. But your financial life is not over. It is simply demanding that you stop lying to yourself. At 22, maybe you did not understand. At 25, maybe you thought you still had plenty of time. At 28, maybe you told yourself you would start when your income got higher. But at 31, if you keep avoiding the truth, it is no longer ignorance. It is a choice. And that choice will send you a bill. I want you to remember this sentence. You cannot recover the compound interest you already lost, but you can stop losing more of it today. In this video, I am not going to sell you a get-rich-quick fantasy. I am not going to tell you that starting at 31 is the same as starting at 22. It is not. The person who started at 22 has the advantage of time. If you are starting late, you have to use something else. You have to use higher income. You have to use fear correctly. You have to use discipline. You have to use automatic systems. You have to use truth instead of fog. The first thing you need to do is not pick the perfect stock. It is not find a secret investment. It is not listen to a stranger online who promises to help you make up for 10 years in 10 months. The first thing is inventory. Which accounts still have money? Which debts are eating interest? Where is that old 401k? Which credit card is bleeding you every month? Where does your money go after every paycheck? And how many years have you let pass because you were too afraid to look directly at those numbers? The truth may embarrass you for one night, but confusion can keep you poor for another 10 years. And I am telling you this as an economics professor, but also as someone who has watched too many intelligent people destroy their future with one very dangerous sentence. I will deal with it later. No, not later anymore. Later is how 22 becomes 31. Later is how credit card debt becomes a lifestyle. Later is how a retirement account gets forgotten for years. Later is how you wake up at 40, open another spreadsheet, and realize you are doing the math you should have done today. So listen carefully. This video is not here to make you cry over your 20s. This video is here to help you bury the version of yourself that avoided money for too long and begin building a new version. Someone who knows how to take inventory. Someone who knows how to pay down debt. Someone who knows how to automate investing. Someone who knows how to grow income. Someone who knows how to protect assets. Someone who can look reality in the face without their hands shaking. Because 31 is not early anymore, but today is still the youngest day of the rest of your life. And if compound interest left you behind at 22, then the only thing left to do now is stand up, step into the machine, and stop letting it run without you. At 31, you are not starting from zero. you are starting from regret with a price tag. At 31, the most painful number is not your bank balance. It is the number your money could have become if you had started when time was still cheap. This is where the story begins. Not in poverty, not in disaster, not in some dramatic collapse where one terrible mistake destroyed everything. It begins in a quiet room at midnight, with a laptop open, a spreadsheet on the screen, and a feeling in your chest that is hard to name. It is not panic exactly. It is recognition. You are 31 years old, and for the first time, you are doing the math honestly. You look back at 22, then 23, then 24. Year after year, money came in. Maybe not a lot at first, but it came in. Paychecks arrived. Raises happened. Tax refunds appeared. Bonuses came and disappeared. And somehow, almost none of it became an asset. You were not reckless in a way that makes for a dramatic story. You did not lose everything gambling. You did not blow your future in one wild weekend. That would almost be easier to understand. No, the money left quietly. A better apartment because the light was nice. Restaurants that felt normal. Delivery because you were tired. A car payment that looked manageable. Subscriptions you forgot about. Weekend trips. Small upgrades. Tiny conveniences. Nothing looked dangerous in the moment. But compound interest does not care whether your excuses were reasonable. It only cares whether you gave it time. And you did not. That is the harsh truth. At 22, $5,000 invested did not feel urgent. Retirement was too far away to feel real. Your future self was a stranger, and people rarely sacrifice for strangers. At 31, that future self is no longer a stranger. It is you. You can see him now. You can see her now. You can see the older version of yourself, asking why the younger version kept saying, later. Later, when I earn more. Later, when life calms down. Later, when I understand investing. Later, when I pay off this card. Later, when I feel ready. But later is expensive. Later charges interest. Later takes the easiest years of compounding and spends them without asking permission. And now you are sitting there, not at zero, worse than zero, because zero is clean. Zero has no memory. Zero does not know what it missed. You are starting with knowledge. You know what an early Roth IRA could have become. You know what those automatic retirement contributions could have done. You know what a basic index fund might have grown into. You know what your 20s could have built if even a small part of your income had been assigned to the future. That is why this hurts. Regret is painful when it is vague, but regret becomes heavier when it has a dollar amount attached to it. And still, I need you to hear me clearly. This is not the end. You are late compared to the person who started at 22, but you are early compared to the person who waits until 40. You are behind one version of your life, but you are still ahead of every version that refuses to begin today. This is the first lesson. Do not use regret as a prison. Use it as an alarm. Self-hatred will not fund your retirement account. Shame will not pay off your credit card. Staring at what you missed will not rebuild the years. But a system can. A real system, not motivation. Not a weekend promise. Not a dramatic speech to yourself after watching a finance video at 1 in the morning. A system. An honest inventory. Every account. Every debt. Every subscription. Every monthly bill. Every old retirement account you forgot existed. Every credit card balance you avoid looking at. Every dollar that leaves your life without a job. This is where rebuilding begins. Not with the perfect investment. Not with a secret strategy. Not with chasing some high-risk shortcut because you feel behind. It begins with facing the numbers without closing the laptop. That moment matters. The moment you stop hiding from the spreadsheet, you stop being the person who lets money happen to them. You become the person who gives money instructions. And that is a different identity. At 31, your advantage is not time. Not like it was at 22. Your advantage is clarity. You have seen what avoidance costs. You have felt what it means to be unprepared. You understand now that a paycheck is not a plan, a savings account is not a strategy, and good intentions do not compound. Only invested money compounds. Only repeated decisions compound. Only systems compound. So yes, you lost time. Say it plainly. Do not soften it. You lost time. But do not confuse lost time with a lost life. The machine is still open. The market still opens. Retirement accounts still exist. Debt can still be attacked. Income can still grow. Automatic transfers can still be created. The version of you that avoided money for a decade can die here, quietly, without drama, without an audience, and a new version can begin. One that checks the numbers. One that pays down debt. One that invests automatically. One that does not wait to feel ready. Because ready is a dangerous word. Ready is often just fear wearing nicer clothes. The lesson of this chapter is simple. At 31, you are not starting from zero. You are starting from truth. And truth hurts at first. But truth is also the first asset you have built in years. Now we have to ask the harder question. Where did the money actually go? Because your 20s probably did not destroy you with one giant mistake. They destroyed you in smaller, quieter ways, one convenience at a time. Your 20s did not break you with one big mistake. They broke you one small convenience at a time. The most dangerous financial mistakes usually do not feel dangerous when you make them. They feel normal. That is why they survive for years. When you look back at your 20s, you may wish there was one villain, one terrible investment, one reckless weekend, one obvious moment where everything went wrong. But for most people, there is no dramatic crime scene. There is only leakage, a slightly nicer apartment because the light was good, a restaurant dinner because the week was hard, a delivery order because you were tired, a car payment that fit the budget on paper, a subscription you forgot to cancel, a weekend trip because everyone else was going, a new phone because the old one still worked but felt old. None of these choices looked like financial destruction. That is the problem. They looked reasonable. They looked human. They looked like life. And some of them were life. I am not here to tell you that every dinner was evil, every trip was foolish, or every comfort was a sin. A life with no joy is not financial discipline. It is just another kind of poverty. But here is the truth. Your 20s can disappear inside reasonable choices. Not stupid choices, reasonable ones. That is what makes the math hurt at 31. You are not looking at one giant mistake you can cut out and say, there, that was the problem. You are looking at 8 or 9 years of small decisions that had no future attached to them. Money came in. Money went out. You worked. You paid bills. You lived. But very little of that money was assigned to ownership. No assets. No serious investing. No retirement habit. No emergency fund with a real job. No machine running in the background. Just income passing through your life like water through your hands. This is where people get defensive. They say, I was young. They say, I did not make that much. They say, rent was expensive. They say, inflation was real. They say, life happened. And they are not wrong. But being right about the difficulty does not erase the result. The result is still there. At 31, you are staring at accounts that do not reflect the effort you remember putting into life. That is the painful part. You were not lazy. You were not doing nothing. You were working. You were tired. You were trying. But the financial system does not reward tired. It rewards ownership. It rewards invested dollars. It rewards time attached to capital. And if your money never became capital, it could not compound for you. That is the difference between spending and building. Spending can be meaningful. Building is measurable. The weekend trip may become a memory. The apartment may have been comfortable. The dinners may have helped you survive a difficult season. But investments leave residue. Assets leave residue. Debt repayment leaves residue. Skills that raise your income leave residue. A retirement contribution leaves residue. A dollar invested at 24 may still be working at 44. A dollar spent for convenience at 24 is usually gone by 25. Again, that does not mean every convenience was wrong. It means you needed a ratio. Some money for life now. Some money for the person you would become later. In your 20s, maybe that later person felt imaginary. At 31, that person is sitting in your chair, and they are asking why nobody saved anything for them. This is the emotional moment that matters. Do not turn it into self-hatred. Turn it into information. Your past spending is not a court case. It is a map. It shows you where money leaks. It shows you what emotions cost you the most. Maybe you spend when you are lonely. Maybe you spend when you are tired. Maybe you spend when you feel behind. Maybe you spend to feel successful before your finances can support the image. Maybe you spend because saying no makes you feel poor. Good. Now you know. That is not shame. That is data. And data is useful. The next step is not to become extreme. Extreme people burn out. The next step is to become precise. Look at the last 90 days. Not the last year. Not your whole life. Just 90 days. Where did the money go? Food, rent, car, insurance, subscriptions, shopping, debt payments, random transfers, forgotten charges, convenience. Now ask a harder question. Which of these expenses improved my life enough to deserve the future it took from me? Some did. Most did not. That question will make you uncomfortable. Good. Comfort is how the old pattern survived. But clarity is how the new pattern begins. You do not need to eliminate joy. You need to stop letting unchosen spending impersonate joy. There is a difference between a dinner you truly value and a delivery order you barely remember. There is a difference between a trip that becomes part of your life and a weekend that only happened because you were afraid to say no. There is a difference between comfort and leakage. At 31, your job is to learn that difference quickly. Because you do not have the same margin for vague spending that you had at 22, time is still on your side, but it is no longer cheap. Every dollar needs a job now. Some dollars pay for survival. Some dollars buy joy on purpose. Some dollars kill debt. Some dollars build the emergency floor. Some dollars enter the market and begin working. But no dollar gets to disappear without permission anymore. That is the new rule. Not because you are punishing yourself, because you are finally protecting yourself. The lesson of this chapter is simple. Your 20s did not vanish because of one catastrophic mistake. They vanished because too much of your money passed through your life without becoming anything. Now you must reverse the flow. Less leakage, more ownership, less reaction, more intention, less spending to soothe the moment, more building for the person who has to live with the result. And once you see where the money went, you are ready for the first real year of rebuilding. Not the exciting year, not the rich year, the debt year, the year you stop falling. The first year is not for getting rich. It is for building the floor that stops you from falling. The first year of rebuilding is not exciting. That is exactly why it works. It does not look like wealth. It does not look like freedom. It does not look like the life you imagined when you first watched finance videos at midnight, hoping someone would tell you how to fix 10 lost years in 10 minutes. No. The first year is quieter than that. It is the year you stop bleeding. At 31, you finally sit down and take inventory. Not a guess. Not a feeling. Not, I think I spend around this much. The real numbers. Every account. Every debt. Every credit card. Every subscription. Every payment that leaves your life each month. And the first thing you feel is not confidence. It is embarrassment. Good. Embarrassment means the fog is lifting. Let us say you have $4,200 in savings. You have $7,800 sitting in an old workplace retirement account from a job you left years ago. You have $6,100 in credit card debt. Your take-home pay is $3,900 a month. Your rent is $1,350. Your car is paid off. You are not in crisis, but you are not building anything either. That is the dangerous middle. Not broke enough to panic, not stable enough to relax, just floating. And floating is how years disappear. So the first year begins with a decision. You do not need a perfect life. You need a floor. A floor is not glamorous. A floor does not make you rich. A floor does not impress anyone at dinner. But a floor keeps one bad month from throwing you back into chaos. And if you have lived without a floor long enough, you know exactly how valuable that is. The first move is to stop ignoring old money. That forgotten workplace retirement account from your previous job is not decoration. It is not a museum piece from a version of you who once had benefits. It is part of your future. You move that old retirement money into a personal retirement account that you control. Now it is visible. Now it is in one place. Now you can choose how it is invested. Now the money is no longer sleeping under an old company name. It belongs to your system again. And I want you to understand this clearly. That old retirement account may not feel like much, but money you can see is money you can manage. Money you forget is money that slowly disappears from your attention. And in personal finance, what you ignore usually becomes expensive. The second move is to attack the credit card debt. Not emotionally, strategically. High-interest debt is not just debt. It is a hole in the bucket. You can pour investment money into the top, but if high interest is leaking out the bottom, you are not building. You are performing financial theater. So you choose the card with the highest interest rate, and you send $400 a month at it. You will feel it. That $400 will cancel plans. It will make some dinners look different. It will make the old version of you complain. Let that version complain. That version had 10 years. Now, it is your turn. The third move is to invest automatically, even if the amount feels too small. $200 a month into your personal retirement account. Automatics. The day after the paycheck arrives. Before your mood gets involved. Before your checking account starts lying to you. Before you tell yourself, maybe next month. $200 will not make you rich by itself. But that is not the point. The point is identity. You are becoming the kind of person who invests every month. That identity matters more than the first amount. Because the amount will grow later. The habit must be born now. This is what the first year looks like. Debt goes down. Emergency savings go up. Investments begin. Slowly. Boringly. Without applause. You pay off thousands in credit card debt. You build a small emergency savings fund in a separate account. Not your checking account. Not the account where money goes to be casually eaten. A separate account. Boring. Intouchable. Designed for emergencies, not emotions. And something strange happens. You are not rich, but you breathe differently. The car makes a sound, and you do not immediately spiral. A bill arrives, and your body does not collapse into panic. Your card balance falls, and for the first time in years, the future does not feel like a predator hiding behind the calendar. That is what a floor does. It does not lift you into the sky. It keeps you from falling through the ground. And for many people starting at 31, that is the first true victory. Not a high return, not a perfect portfolio, not a brilliant investment. Stability, the kind you can feel in your nervous system. Then comes the moment that looks small to everyone else, but feels enormous to you. The credit card balance reaches zero. You look at it. Zero. No interest growing in the dark. No minimum payment draining the month. No old convenience, still charging rent inside your future. You may screenshot it. You may send it to nobody, because nobody else knows what that zero cost you. But you know every meal you cooked, every invitation you declined, every impulse you interrupted, every month you chose the future over the old pattern. And now, that payment is free. But listen carefully. This is where many people make the next mistake. They let the freed up money drift back into lifestyle. Do not do that. The month the debt payment disappears, redirect it immediately. Send it to your personal retirement account. Send it to your regular investment account. Send it to your emergency savings fund. Send it wherever your system needs it most. But do not let that money sit loose in checking. Loose money becomes old behavior. And old behavior is patient. It waits for you to relax. The lesson of this chapter is simple. The first year is not about getting rich. It is about proving that your financial life can obey you again. You build the floor. You stop the leaks. You automate the habit. You kill the debt that was feeding on your future. And once the floor is built, something changes. The money that used to serve the past can finally be sent forward. That is when the machine begins to accelerate. When debt disappears, every dollar that used to pay for the past must be sent into the future. The most dangerous moment after paying off debt is the moment you feel free, because freedom without a plan becomes spending. You worked hard. You paid down the card. You watched the balance shrink month after month until one day the number finally reached zero. And for a moment, you feel lighter. You should. That zero matters. But now comes the next test. What happens to the money that used to go to debt? Because if that money quietly returns to restaurants, upgrades, shopping, convenience, and lifestyle, then you did not change your financial life. You only finished one chapter of the same old story. At 31, 32, or 33, starting late means you cannot let freed-up money wander. Every dollar needs a destination before your habits give it one. That is the rule. The money that used to pay for the past must now be sent into the future. Maybe it was $127 a month in minimum interest. Maybe it was $400 a month in aggressive debt payments. Maybe it was more. The exact number matters less than the movement. Yesterday, that money was repairing old damage. Today, it must build new assets. A personal retirement account, a regular investment account, a workplace retirement plan, an emergency savings fund, a high-yield savings account. Skills that raise your income. Your future does not care where the money came from. It only cares whether you redirect it before lifestyle absorbs it. And lifestyle absorbs money fast. It does not announce itself as destruction. It whispers, "You deserve this. You have been disciplined. You paid off the card. One nicer dinner will not matter. A better apartment will not kill you. A small upgrade is harmless. And sometimes, one small reward is fine. But unmanaged reward becomes regression. This is how people pay off debt and still stay broke. They remove the debt payment, but they keep the identity that created the debt. That is why your next move must be automatic. Not emotional, not occasional, automatics. The day after your paycheck hits, money leaves before your old self can negotiate. You do not wait to see what is left. You decide what goes first. This is the shift from surviving to building. In survival mode, you invest what remains. In building mode, you spend what remains after investing. That sentence changes lives. It is not glamorous. It is not flashy, but it is one of the cleanest truths in personal finance. If the future only gets your leftovers, the future will always be underfunded. So now the machine must run first. You increase your personal retirement account contribution. You open a regular investment account for money beyond retirement. You restart your workplace retirement plan if your employer offers one. And if your company gives you matching money, you take it. Because that match is not a gift. It is part of your pay. Leaving it behind is like refusing money that was already meant for you. You keep growing the emergency savings fund until it covers real life, not fantasy life. 3 months, then 6. Not because cash is the best investment. It is not. Cash is not there to make you rich. Cash is there to prevent panic. Cash is there so one car repair does not send you back to credit cards. Cash is there so a medical bill does not force you to sell investments at the worst possible time. Cash is insulation. And people starting late need insulation because desperation is expensive. This is also where income becomes the lever. At 22, time was your biggest asset. At 33, income must become your weapon. You cannot go back and create 9 extra years of compounding, but you can increase the amount going into the machine. That means you stop treating your career passively. You negotiate. You apply. You learn skills that pay more. You change companies if loyalty is being rewarded with underpayment. You build a side income if your main income has a ceiling you can already see. This is not hustle culture. This is math. Starting later means each year has to carry more weight. And the easiest way to give each year more weight is to put more dollars into assets. But be careful. As income rises, lifestyle will try to rise with it. That is the old pattern wearing better clothes. A raise can become a bigger apartment, a nicer car, more travel, more convenience. Or it can become acceleration. The difference is not income. The difference is instruction. Money without instruction becomes lifestyle. Money with instruction becomes capital. So when the raise comes, you decide before it lands. Part of it goes to investing. Part of it goes to emergency savings. Part of it goes to debt if any debt remains. And yes, part of it can go to life. You are not a machine. You are a human being. But the future must get paid before the upgraded version of your old habits arrives. This is how acceleration begins. Not with a miracle, with redirected cash flow. The credit card payment becomes money for your personal retirement account. The old car payment becomes monthly deposits into a regular investment account. The raise becomes long-term investing money before lifestyle can swallow it. The bonus becomes progress toward your emergency savings fund. the tax refund becomes debt destruction or investment capital. And if your employer offers a workplace retirement plan with matching money, you take it. Because that match is not charity. It is compensation. Every freed dollar receives a new job. And slowly, the balance sheet changes. Not loudly, not overnight, but permanently. The lesson of this chapter is simple. Paying off debt is not the finish line. It is the moment your money becomes available for a better mission. If you do not assign it quickly, your old life will reclaim it. So do not let money sit around, waiting for temptation. Move it. Automate it. Invest it. Protect it. Send it forward. Because the dollars that once paid for your past can become the dollars that buy back your future. And once that happens, starting late stops feeling like a confession. It starts feeling like a comeback. But the comeback has one final requirement. You must learn how to use fear correctly. Not as panic. As fuel. Starting late does not mean you lost. If you use fear as fuel and income as leverage. Fear is dangerous when it makes you freeze. But fear becomes useful when it makes you move. At 31, 33, or 35, you may feel behind. And let us be honest. In some ways, you are behind the version of yourself who started at 22. That is true. But it is not the whole truth. Because the person who starts later has one advantage that younger people often do not have. Clarity. At 22, the future feels fake. At 31, it has a face. You have seen people get laid off. You have seen medical bills appear from nowhere. You have seen rent rise. You have seen parents age. You've seen friends make more money and still feel trapped because they spent every raise before it could become wealth. You no longer need theory. You have evidence. And evidence can become power if you stop using it to shame yourself. This is where fear must change jobs. Fear used to make you avoid the bank app. Now it must make you open it. Fear used to make you ignore the credit card balance. Now it must make you attack it. Fear used to make you feel late. Now it must remind you that today is still earlier than next year. That is how fear becomes fuel. But fuel alone is not enough. You need a vehicle. And for the late starter, the vehicle is income. At 22, time was the great advantage. At 31, income has to become the lever. This is the part many people do not want to hear. You cannot budget your way out of every problem. Yes, cutting waste matters. Yes, controlling lifestyle matters. Yes, small leaks can destroy you over years. But if your income is too low, the math will always feel like punishment. So you must learn to treat your career as part of your financial plan, not separate from it. Your salary is not just what pays your bills. It is the engine that feeds your future. If that engine is weak, the machine grows slowly. If that engine becomes stronger, everything changes. You negotiate the raise. You apply for the better role. You learn the skill that pays more. You change companies if loyalty is being rewarded with underpayment. You build a side income if your main income has a ceiling you can already see. This is not about worshiping work. This is not about destroying your health for money. This is about understanding that starting late means each dollar has to work harder. And the fastest way to put more dollars to work is to increase what comes in. But here is the warning. More income will not save you if your identity does not change. A raise can become an investment contribution, or it can become a nicer car. A bonus can become emergency savings, or it can become a vacation you barely remember. A promotion can become freedom, or it can become a more expensive version of the same anxiety. Money does not automatically build wealth. Directed money builds wealth. That is why the late starter must become almost boringly intentional. When income rises, the plan must already be waiting. Part goes to long-term investing. Part goes to emergency savings. Part goes to any remaining debt. Part goes to life, because you are human, not a machine. But no raise is allowed to disappear without instruction. No bonus is allowed to wander. No tax refund is allowed to become emotional spending just because you feel tired. Every dollar needs a job before your old habits give it one. This is how the comeback happens. Not dramatically, not overnight, but through repeated decisions that no one applauds. You build the emergency fund until one bad month cannot break you. You invest automatically before you can talk yourself out of it. You protect your income with insurance if people depend on it. You write a basic will if you have assets, children, or anyone who would suffer from your silence. You stop treating financial protection as something for older people. You are building something now, and built things must be protected. Then comes the trap that waits for every late starter. Shortcuts. When you feel behind, shortcuts sound like rescue. A trading strategy that promises fast returns. A crypto project that sounds revolutionary. A real estate deal with no money didn't sound, and too much confidence. An online guru who tells you boring investing is for cowards. Be careful. Desperation is expensive. The person who knows they are behind is easier to sell to because they want the pain to end quickly. But most financial shortcuts are just regret wearing a new suit. The boring path is boring for a reason. It survives. Earn more. Spend with intention. Kill high-interest debt. Build cash reserves. Invest automatically. Avoid panic. Repeat longer than your emotions want to. That is not sexy. That is why it works. And if you do this, something changes by 40, then 45. You may not become the person you would have been if you started at 22. That version is gone. Do not waste your life mourning a version of yourself that can no longer act. Build the version that still can. At 45, you may look at your accounts and see something real. A retirement balance that finally has weight. A regular investment account that did not exist before. An emergency fund that gives you peace. A home with equity. A career you stop treating casually. A financial life that no longer feels like a dark room you are afraid to enter. You are not magically free, but you are no longer floating. You are building, and building is a different identity. The lesson of this chapter is simple. Starting late is not the same as losing. Losing is knowing you are late and still doing nothing. Starting late means the strategy must change. You need more honesty, more income, more automation, more protection, less fantasy, less comparison, less waiting for the perfect moment, because the perfect moment was probably years ago. The next best moment is the one you can still use. So use the fear, use the regret, use the income you have now, use the clarity that came from finally seeing the cost. Do not let shame freeze you. Let it focus you, because you cannot go back to 22, but you can make sure that 45 does not look back at 31 and ask the same painful question, why did I wait again? So now you have seen the whole road. Not the fantasy version, not the comfortable version, the real one. At 31, you wake up to a painful truth. Your 20s passed, money came in, money went out, and too little of it became ownership. Too little became investments. Too little became retirement money. Too little became protection. Too little became a future that could stand on its own. That truth hurts. But pain is not always punishment. Sometimes pain is information. And if you listen carefully, this pain is telling you one thing. You cannot keep living without a system. Because without a system, money disappears. Without a system, raises become lifestyle. Without a system, debt becomes normal. Without a system, retirement becomes something you think about only when fear gets loud enough. And that is how 22 becomes 31. That is how 31 becomes 40. That is how a person wakes up one night, opens a spreadsheet, and realizes they are doing the math they should have done years ago. But this time, you do not have to close the laptop. This time, you do not have to hide. This time, you can start from exactly where you are, not where you wish you were. Not where your friend is, not where the 22-year-old version of you could have been. Where you are, with the accounts you have, the debts you have, the income you have, the fear you have, the regret you have, and the time you still have left. Because yes, you lost time. Say it plainly. You lost years of compounding. You left opportunities on the table. You spent money that could have become assets. You ignored accounts that could have grown. You waited longer than you should have. But lost time is not the same as a lost life. That is the line I need you to remember. Lost time is not a lost life. The person who starts at 31 must play differently than the person who started at 22. You may need to contribute more. You may need to earn more. You may need to hold the line harder when lifestyle wants to expand. You may need to protect your income, automate your investments, and stop letting money sit around without a job. You may need to say no more often, Not forever, but long enough to build the floor, long enough to kill the debt, long enough to create the machine. And once that machine is running, your life begins to feel different. Not rich overnight, not free overnight, but different. The emergency savings fund changes how your body reacts to bad news. The paid-off credit card changes how your paycheck feels. The automatic investment changes how your future looks. The retirement account, you can finally see, changes how you think about aging. The regular investment account changes how you think about opportunity. The raise you do not spend changes how you think about power. This is what rebuilding really is. Not one heroic decision. 1,000 small decisions that finally point in the same direction. You stop leaking. You start assigning. You stop avoiding. You start checking. You stop saying later. You start moving. And somewhere along the way, regret changes shape. At first, regret feels like a weight. Then it becomes a warning. Then it becomes fuel. And if you keep going long enough, it becomes wisdom. The kind of wisdom you can give to someone younger. Someone who still thinks 40 is far away. Someone who still thinks retirement is an abstract word. Someone who still believes later is harmless. You will look at them and tell the truth. Start now. Not because you are old, but because time is still cheap for you. And if they do not fully understand, that is okay. You tell them anyway, because someone should have told you. But for you, the message is different. You do not need someone to tell you to start early. That door is closed. You need someone to tell you that starting late is still starting. And starting late with discipline is infinitely better than staying frozen with regret. So do not make regret your home. Do not build an identity around being behind. Do not worship the version of you who could have started earlier. That person is gone. Honor them by doing what they did not do. Open the account. Roll over the old retirement money into an account you control. Pay down the high-interest debt. Build the emergency savings fund. Set the automatic transfer. Negotiate the raise. Protect the income. Invest before lifestyle can swallow the money. And when fear returns, because it will, do not treat it as proof that you are failing. Treat it as proof that you finally understand the stakes. The final lesson is this. Compound interest may have left you behind at 22, but it did not lock the door. The machine is still running. The market still opens. Your income can still grow. Your habits can still change. Your debt can still fall. Your assets can still rise. Your future can still become something you are not afraid to look at. 31 is not early, but it is earlier than 32. 35 is not early, but it is earlier than 45. And today is earlier than the version of tomorrow where you still have not begun. So begin. Not dramatically, not perfectly, not with a fantasy that erases the past. Begin honestly. Begin automatically. Begin with the next dollar. Begin with the next payment. Begin with the next paycheck. Because one day, years from now, you will open another spreadsheet. And this time, it will not feel like a judgment. It will feel like evidence. Evidence that you stopped waiting. Evidence that you stopped hiding. Evidence that you turned regret into a system. And evidence that the life you thought was too late to build was still waiting for the person brave enough to start.